The third part in utilizing the AutoFlex automatic is choosing the proper GRD side parameters. GRD stands for grills, registers, and diffusers. And what we're going to do is choose the connection that we'd like to use to attach the grill neck to the end of the route. The duct side parameters choose the tap at the beginning of the route. The route parameters choose the fittings we're going to use to cover the distance between the tap and the grill. And then once we have that duct sitting there in free space, PractiCAD needs to decide how we're going to connect the duct line down to the grill. The first choice we must choose is what type of neck are we routing to, rectangular neck grill or round neck grill. Just like the duct side parameters, we are capable of choosing parameters separate for round neck grills than rectangular neck grills, and PractiCAD can run multiple routes at the same time using different assemblies for the rectangular neck grills as the round neck grills. So you can choose separately and still run the same route. Once we've chosen what type of grill neck we're going to route to in the GRD side tab, now we must pick between one of four choices: duct or end of existing duct, elbow, collar, and tap. The four choices are very similar to the duct side tap. However, there are some differences in the way they're used. The first one, end of existing duct, as always, if checked, you'll notice that all of the tap options have disappeared. We utilize this in a situation where we don't need to use a fitting to route down to the grill. For example, on the left-hand side here, we have a GRD that happens to be underneath a piece of rectangular duct. We would like to tap a spin collar into the bottom of this duct and just route down straight to the grill. So we don't need one of the taps or fittings in order to get down there. And that'll become more clear as we go through the other options. Notice that on the duct side tab, for round neck grills, we've chosen tap, and here we have spin-ins. So that's what we're going to do as far as the tap that's going to be attached to the rectangular piece of duct. On the GRD side, we don't need to pick any fittings because all PractiCAD has to do is route straight to the grill neck. We don't need to turn down with an elbow, and we don't need to use a separate tap. So what we can do is we can choose the end of existing duct option whenever we've got grills directly under our fittings, and then we can run a scenario. Here we're going to press OK. Once we do that, notice that it's chosen the spin collar for the duct side tap, and then it's choosing the straight duct that we have selected under the route tab. There was no need to choose the GRD side in this particular situation. The second choice for routing down to the grills on the GRD side is the elbow option. On the left-hand side, we have a round neck grill. The top of that grill neck is at 10 foot 5 inches. And we're going to route to a piece of duct that's at bottom 12 foot. So we have about 1.5 foot difference between the two. So the duct side parameter, we've got selected conicals for round neck. So the conical tap is going to go here. Then we've chosen routing parameters, which are going to choose the spiral pipe that we're going to use for the remainder of this route. Notice under round, we have catalog, spiral for the straight section. So straight, we're using the spiral duct. So we're going to get a conical, then spiral. Now the route's going to bring that spiral up to the grill, but how do we make the final connection? Well, if we need to turn down, as we're going to do in this case, we can choose the option to utilize an elbow. If we choose the elbow option, PractiCAD's going to open up the entire list of possible elbows. And what we've done here is we are going to select the short adjustable elbows catalog. Now notice that we've highlighted the catalog name, and once again that means that PractiCAD's going to go into that catalog and select the proper elbow to match the grill's neck. There are separate tutorials on building catalogs. Building a catalog with the proper parameters is essential for using this feature. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to press the OK button and we're going to run this route. Notice that it picks out the conical, it runs the spiral pipe, and right here for elbow, if we double click on the elbow over here in the isometric view and look at the property box, you're going to notice that the name of the elbow is the short adjustable elbow, and it's the 12 inch. So PractiCAD came in and said, what is the size of the neck? It's 12 inch. Go into that short adjustable elbow catalog, grab the proper elbow, and then what it did is it started to route down towards the grill. And in this particular tutorial, it used spiral pipe. So the elbow option can be used for both round and rectangular duct. The third option under the GRD side tab is the spin collar accessory option. If we have a route where we'd like to use the spin collar accessory to route down to our GRD, we can choose this option. Remember, spin collar accessory options are not fittings that download to PractiCAD for manufacturing. Spin collar accessories can be counted and utilized, but they're not used to download to PractiCAD and manufacture. We pointed that out in the duct side tabs. We're just mentioning it again. Most of the time, manufacturers are using spin collars as tabs. However, if you'd like to use the spin collar accessory option, we can choose it here. An example of where we might want to use this. Notice on the left we have two entities highlighted, the rectangular duct and the round neck grill. And we'd like to use an assembly in the AutoFlex option that uses an angled boot tap, routes rectangular duct all the way to the grill and over the grill, and then we take a PractiCAD spin collar accessory and we tap it to the bottom of that duct and then run the rest of the assembly down. If we would like to do that, we can come over to duct side and say if we have a round neck, we'd like to use the 45-degree boot tap. And here you can see we've got it set to add to neck size 6 inches. So the boot tap's opening will be 6 inches larger than the grill neck. Then what we're going to do in the route is say for straight rectangular duct, we'd like to use the rectangular straight duct fittings. So PractiCAD is going to use a boot tap, then rectangular straight duct fittings. And now the question is, what do we want to do to complete the route? What we're going to do is on the GRD side, we're going to check this tab and choose the spin collar accessory option. And what that's going to do if we go to route this is PractiCAD is going to route an angled boot tap, then rectangular duct, and here as you can see in the isometric view, what it's done is it's put a spin collar right there, tapped to the bottom of the duct, and then it has started to route with spiral pipe to the grill. But the fitting right here where the cursor is, it's not highlighted, it's behind the fitting in the isometric, is the spin collar accessory directly from our catalog. So this is an example of why we'd want to use the spin collar accessory. It's talking about tapping to the bottom of duct that we are using to route to a grill. The last option in the GRD side is the tap option. The only difference between the tap option and the spin collar accessory option is that spin collar accessories are the only choice we can use for a tap here. However, if we pick tap, PractiCAD will open up the fitting libraries to us and we can use fittings to tap to the bottom of duct to route down to the GRD. For example, here we have a piece of rectangular duct on the left and we've got a round neck GRD. We'd like to route using an angled boot tap and then rectangular straight duct all the way over to the end of the GRD. Then we'd like to tap a spin collar fitting from an existing catalog we've created to the bottom of that rectangular duct and then route down to the GRD. So to do that, we'd go into duct side and we've already chosen a 45-degree boot tap for round neck. And then under the route, we've already chosen for straight, we've got rectangular duct selected. For the GRD side now, we're going to choose the tap option, and then we're going to go down to our fitting libraries, and we're going to choose the name of the catalog spin-ins. And what that's going to do is PractiCAD is going to go into this catalog, select the proper spin-in to match the grill's neck diameter, and then line it up with the tap, and then tap to the bottom of the rectangular duct, and then we're going to route straight down to the grill. So what we're going to do here is now we're just going to press the OK button. You can see that on the left, they're both highlighted. And now we're going to press OK. And when we do that, PractiCAD routes an angled boot tap, followed by rectangular straight duct. And then what it's done is it's used the spin collar fitting from our catalog. To demonstrate this, we're going to put this picture on the right, the 2D wireframe. We're going to highlight this particular fitting. We're going to double click on it. And you can see that it's coming directly out of our spin-ins catalog, and it's a 12-inch spin. You'll notice that PractiCAD has lined it up perfectly with the neck of the grill, and now the route is complete. The end cap option is an option that becomes available only when you're using the collar option or the tap option. Notice that end cap right now can be checked and unchecked. When it's checked, PractiCAD is going to ask us to pick a particular end cap. Notice, however, that if we check the elbow section, the PractiCAD will gray out the end cap. Same thing with end of existing duct. So the option is only available if we're using the collar option or the tap option. What the end cap option is for is if we're going to route rectangular duct off of a main trunk line over a GRD and then spin to the bottom of it or tap duct to the bottom of it and would like to close off the end of that boot tap, we can choose the end cap option. For example, over here on the right, we have a rectangular round neck grill and we have a piece of rectangular duct. We're going to run a little AutoFlex assembly where we use the 45-degree boot tap on the duct side, rectangular straight duct when we're in the rectangular, and on the GRD side, we're going to say if it's a round neck grill, utilize the tap feature and choose from the catalog spin-ins. And now we're going to press OK. And when we do that, notice that the opening of the duct right here is open because we never closed it off. If we would like to run the exact same route, but have PractiCAD close off that end with an end cap, we can do the same thing and check the end cap option. So what we're going to do is go back into the AutoFlex icon after we highlighted our entities, and we're going to run the exact same route, except this time under the GRD side, we're going to check end cap and make sure to choose the end cap you'd like to use. Here we're going to pick the rectangular end cap. Now what we're going to do is press OK, and notice it does the exact same route as you saw before. However, it's put an end cap fitting, which is annotated by the tag here, at the end of the route. So you can choose to have end caps at the end of your route if you choose the spin collar or collar option. Now we're going to go over the add length option in the GRD side tab. Up until now, we have not been making a note to point out how PractiCAD is choosing to route up into the grill. PractiCAD has the ability to route assemblies all the way up to the grill neck, or it can go past the grill neck, or it can fall short of the grill neck. For example, we're going to run an assembly real quick and we're going to change the add length to 0. If we run a boot tap route assembly that we've shown in earlier parts of this tutorial, and we have the add length parameter set at 0, PractiCAD is going to run rectangular duct right up until the end of the duct meets the center line of the grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to run an assembly right now. Notice when we do that PractiCAD first couldn't complete the route, and notice that PractiCAD stopped the assembly directly at the center line of the GRD. What PractiCAD does is it runs rectangular duct or spiral duct depending on our route tab parameters, and it sends it all the way to the center of the GRD. Most of the time, we'd like, if we're going to route over the GRD, for the duct to at least go a little bit past the center line. So what we can do is we can put how far past the center line of the duct we'd like PractiCAD to auto route. This particular GRD, if we double click on it, happens to be length and width 24 by 24. So it's 2 foot by 2 foot. So if we would like to route the assembly automatically so that the edge of the duct meets the edge of the grill, we'd want to put in the value 12 so that the add length parameter would be half the size of the grill's length. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight both of our entities. We're going to come back into the AutoFlex icon. We're going to run the exact same route we did before. Notice that PractiCAD always retains the settings of the last thing we've done. So every time we run a route, PractiCAD is going to save all the settings of that route. So if we go back into the AutoFlex option, we can literally just change one parameter and then run the same route again. We actually don't have to scroll through each individual tab. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say add length 12. And what that means is PractiCAD should route duct from the duct side tap all the way out to the grill's center point and then go 12 inches further. In this particular case, 12 inches is half the size of the grill. So it's going to go all the way to the end. So we're going to press OK. Notice now that PractiCAD's routed so that the end of the line is even with the grill. If we were to say, let's change the add length parameter to 24 and run the same thing, PractiCAD would route the duct 12 inches past the grill in this particular case. So what we're going to do is go GRD side. We're going to change the add length parameter to 24, and we're going to press OK to run the route again. Here you can see that it's gone 12 inches past. So you have control over how short the run goes. Keep in mind, if you're using an elbow route that turns down and goes right to the grill, we don't need to choose an add length parameter because PractiCAD's going to route right up to the grill. However, if we're going to use the collar option or the tap option to snap to the bottom of an assembly, we might want to choose how far out this assembly will go. The side approach option in the GRD side allows us to choose whether or not we'd like to offset fittings to get to the GRD neck or use an elbow and a turn to get to the GRD neck. For example, over here what we have is a piece of rectangular duct that's highlighted, and then we have a GRD highlighted as well. Notice that the GRD is not lined up with this duct because we have selected this one. There's only going to be two ways to actually route to this grill. We can either put a fitting as a tap, spiral, and then turn 90 and down to the grill, or we could offset two elbows. Currently, PractiCAD only has the ability to either do a side approach, which is a 90-degree turn, or utilize two elbows for offsets. If you keep the side approach option unchecked, it's going to choose the offset route. So what we're going to do here is we're going to press the OK button to represent this. Notice when we press OK, PractiCAD has chosen the tap side, which is a conical in this situation. It's then picked out two elbows from our route tab. And these elbows happen to be 20 degrees. And that's because PractiCAD is basically taking two equal elbows and it's utilizing them in order to route the round duct in between. So side approach, if it's unchecked, you're going to get two equal elbows and it's going to route out to the grill and then continue with the standard GRD selection. If we were to run the exact same thing, but this time we're going to use the side approach checked, PractiCAD is going to route at 90 degrees. So we're going to come into GRD side, we're going to check side approach, and we're going to run the exact same route. Notice this time PractiCAD, instead of using elbows, has chose to make a turn or come at 90, and then it continues the rest of the GRD route. Now keep in mind there are times where you can't actually utilize both. The side approach most of the time will work unless there's not enough room to turn the elbows. However, the side approach where you use two elbow offsets, occasionally your elbow is going to be so far in the distance that PractiCAD will not be able to reach. So you can't always use it as an option. In this part of the AutoFlex tutorial, we're going to show you how to utilize Flex at the end of your route. Up until now, we've been using hard pipe or hard duct connections to connect most of our routes to our GRDs. However, if Flexbend is allowed to be used in the field, we can utilize it in PractiCAD as well. Notice currently we have a round neck grill and we have a rectangular piece of duct and we have the Flex unchecked. If we press OK right now, you can see that PractiCAD is going to route out the assembly, and after the elbow, it's going to choose hard pipe, and that's because we didn't check Flex. If we would like to use Flex after the elbow, we can choose that option. So what we're going to do is highlight the grill and the rectangular piece of duct again. We're going to go back into the AutoFlex icon, and now we're going to check to use Flex. So under the GRD side tab, we're going to check Flex, and once we do that, PractiCAD is going to open up our different catalogs of Flex. Now these options are going to differ from user to user. Here you can see we have a Flex catalog created with Flex from 2 inches all the way to 24 inches. And you can modify your own catalog, and there's separate tutorials to do that. If we choose the Flex option, PractiCAD is going to ask us for a min flex length and max flex length. If we know we don't want the flex to be smaller than 6 inches, we're going to put the value 6 here. If we know we don't want it to be larger than 60 inches or 5 foot, we can put that parameter here. In this particular tutorial, we're going to put in 36 inches. And now we're going to press OK and run the exact same route. So notice what we have here. We've got spiral pipe, elbow, and notice that we've now got a little piece of spiral pipe as well. And the reason why is, if we double click on the Flex, you can see that the Flex parameter happens to be 36 inches. So PractiCAD has maxed out the flex that we can use. So what it does in that particular case is after the elbow, it's going to use spiral pipe. Now, if you had chosen to use fitting straights in your routing tab, it wouldn't use spiral pipe because it wouldn't use variable length duct. However, if you state that you don't want to use fitting straights, which is very common because often you're buying your elbows, and you have a max flex length, PractiCAD will fill in the remainder with rect duct or spiral duct, basically whatever you've chosen under your routing tab. The Allow Flex Bending option is a very useful tool in the GRD side. If we choose to utilize Flex, we can decide whether or not we'd like to use this option. It is designed to allow us to connect spiral, duct, and the necks of grills direct with Flex. For example, on the left-hand side, we have a piece of rectangular duct. It's at 12-foot bottom, and we have a round neck grill that's at 8 foot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say to route using an assembly, we're going to choose conicals on the duct side, spiral duct for the straight duct to route to the grill. On the GRD side, we're stating that if it's a round neck, we're going to use an elbow. And even though we're choosing the short adjustable elbow, we're going to check this option, Allow Flex Bending. And what will happen is if the distance between the spiral pipe and the top of the grill's neck is less than the max flex length parameter, PractiCAD will just attach flex and it will bypass the elbow. So what we're going to do is press OK. You can see here that PractiCAD's run a conical, spiral, and because we said Allow Flex Bending, we've given it permission to just bend flex and remove that elbow. However, if we were to undo this and run the same exact route, but uncheck Allow Flex Bending, what we're basically saying is that we've been told by the job specifications or an engineer that we're not allowed to bend flex off the end of pipe. And we have to use an elbow to connect. So what we do is we run the same route. We have short adjustable elbows picked here. We're going to uncheck Allow Flex Bending and we're going to press OK. And what that does is it always puts an elbow first. Even though we have flex, and that flex you can see is only at 40 inches. We're allowed another 20 inches, but we can't connect from the spiral pipe to the grill neck with flex because of the job specifications. So we uncheck the option and we'll automatically get an elbow. So this is a very useful feature to have because you can turn it on or off depending on what your job specifications are. The last option pertaining to flex in the GRD side is the layer by fitting option. This box, when checked, will take the flex that you use for your AutoFlex automatic and it will match it onto the layer of the duct you are attaching from. If it's unchecked, it puts the flex on the standard default layer that you have set in your PractiCAD layer mechanism. And there's separate tutorials on building layers and how entities go to them. But to demonstrate what this does, we're going to run an automatic from this grill to this duct, and we're going to keep the layer by fitting unchecked, and we've got the flex button checked. So we're going to press OK. When we do that, you can see that the flex has gone to an ML Flex layer, and that's because we have ML Flex selected as a layer in our layer mechanism. However, if we run the same scenario and we check the layer by fitting option, PractiCAD will change the layer of the flex to match the fitting we're routing from. So what we're going to do to demonstrate this is we're going to run the same exact AutoFlex route. We're going to check layer by fitting. And now we're going to press OK. And notice you can see the flex is a different color. And if you click on it, you can see that the flex is on the miscellaneous fittings layer. And the reason why it's doing that is it's matching the layer from wherever the AutoFlex route started from. Whatever layer the duct is that the AutoFlex route started from, it takes the flex and moves it to that layer. So you can see here that the flex is on the miscellaneous fittings layer because that's where this rectangular duct happens to be. So the flex has the exact same layer as the duct it's coming from. So it's a simple option to use. You can keep it checked if you'd like to do it or unchecked if you would not like to use it.